I told you we got lots of stuff today. We'll get into this later, but I'm here to tell you I have a new favorite basketball coach in the Southeastern Conference, and his name is Nathaniel J. Oates. With all due respect to Ben Howland and Kermit Davis in the state of Mississippi, Nate Oates at Alabama today was asked what he thought of other coaches calling for a pause to the college basketball season, and he said, "That's a good question. Can I ask you something? Do you think if Coach K hadn't lost the 2 non-conference games at home, he'd still be saying that?" Boom! Love that from Nate Oates. By the way, SportsTalk Mississippi. Let's go to the Farm Bureau phone line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Cole Cubelic on the line right now. He is college football analyst with the ESPN SEC Network and co-host of 3-Man Front on Jocks in Birmingham. Cole, what's up?
Hey, Richard. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Hey, I want to ask you something off the wall as we get started. Have you ever been to the Army-Navy game?
Yeah, I went last year, first time. Incredible.
I was going to say, how was it?
There have been very few sports events that have really, I would just say, lived up to or exceeded expectations. And I would say attending the Masters exceeded expectations. First time I went to Old Yankee Stadium, exceeded expectations. And Army-Navy just blew the expectations out of the water. Just everything around it, everything that went with it. Got a competitive game, got an amazing individual performance. It was something special. And I would recommend it to anyone. If you have a chance to do it, go do it. Find a way to make it happen. It's definitely worth it. It was special. It really was. And I mean, I played in the Iron Bowl. I just worked my first Egg Bowl. I did Florida State 2 years ago. First time I've been a part of that one. It's up there with anything I've ever been a part of from a college football perspective.
Do you plan to take your son to that game one day?
That would be awesome. I would love it. Yeah, I'd love if I could get both of them one day down the road and we pack up and Philly, New York, wherever it is. DC, be able to attend that game together. I mean, that'd be something. That'd be something really cool.
Yep, I am 100% on board and a little envious that you were able to kind of check that off the bucket list. I hope to do that in the not too distant future. Going to be in West Point this year. A little bit of a departure from the norm. Quick thought on Ole Miss and Texas A&M not playing and how big a deal it is, and who it's a bigger deal to, Texas A&M or Ole Miss in your mind.
It's a much bigger deal for A&M. I think it would be great for Lane to be able to continue that winning streak and obviously, try to finish with a better record than most anybody really gave him an opportunity to finish with. You'd love the chance to finish above 500 in year one. I think that'd be great, especially with what this year has been. But Texas A&M has, and it's kind of surprising to me, Richard, the amount of people that kind of don't think that A&M really has a lot of ground to make up. I'll give you a perfect example. Andrew Roberts on my show in Birmingham, we sort of threw out the hypothetical, this A&M Ohio State thing that people got conjured up a couple days ago. And he's like, if I'm Jimbo, I don't take that game. No way. Don't take it. I sit there and wait. Better chance to get in if I don't play it. And I'm just thinking, dude, you need all the help you can get if you're A&M.
Yep.
Like, you take any game you can get. You go play anyone, anywhere, anytime, because it's like Dana White always said. It's one of the best quotes I've ever heard in sports. Never let it go to the judges. Ever. Never, ever let it go to the judges. You knock somebody out, you knock them out, and you make sure you secure a win right there, instead of letting somebody give their decision on what they think they saw and how they believe things to be. So I definitely think it hurts A&M because I think there's some positive momentum surrounding Ole Miss right now. I think the perception is that Ole Miss is a pretty good football team, especially on offense, that they're really good on offense. So I think when you're viewed as a dangerous opponent for a team like A&M, all of a sudden I think that could really boost your resume. And let's be honest, and this is another thing people don't talk about with A&M, that resume ain't that good. I know the Florida win is great, and it's probably a top 3 win. I mean, Notre Dame over Clemson, A&M over Florida. Who would be next? Bama over Georgia, maybe. So I mean, it's one of Ohio State, Indiana is probably going to be in that mix. It's one of the best wins of any team in college football this year. However, their next best win's Auburn, who's an average football team, and then you don't have another team that's over 500. So they need help with their resume. They need help with quality wins. They need help with, I think, some perception points nationally. Because you have teams like Ohio State that are still in front of you that, their logo is probably going to have a little more power perception that's going to keep them ahead of you. So I definitely think it hurts A&M a little bit more to not be able to play that game.
Cole Cubelic, college football analyst, SEC Network, ESPN, and host of the three-man front on Jocks in Birmingham on the Farm Bureau phone line. You'll be on the sidelines in Starkville on Saturday night. You saw Mississippi State 2 weeks ago. They're obviously trending up in terms of the way they've played in their last two ball games. What kind of a chance do you give Mississippi State Saturday night? Is it a puncher's chance? Is it wrong team favored? Is it somewhere in between?
I think I give them a little bit more than a puncher's chance. This is actually not a great matchup for Auburn. Auburn's leading sack artist on the year is Jacoby McClain, who is an undersized linebacker. So he obviously is going to be blitzing when he's trying to go after the quarterback, which tells me they don't have a lot of other good individual pass rushers. Colby Williams has been pretty good for them, but not consistent throughout the entire season. And you need to get to the quarterback. And even if it's with three, most teams have been able to do that. The teams that have given Mississippi State problems. So I think Auburn's a team, too, that's not tackling very well outside of maybe McClain and Popo. Sherwood is having a pretty decent year in the secondary, but there's a couple other guys on that defense that are just flat out not playing great. And it's A&M's a team that sort of, they make you tackle them. And it's going to be a lot of checkdowns, a lot of, they're going to dump the ball off, they're going to throw the little easy crossers, and they're going to make you tackle them. Now, you can sit there and say, well, they don't run the ball, so tackling's not a big deal. Well, they get the ball in space, and they got some guys that seem to be buying in. Some young receivers, young running back who seem to be doing things the way that Leach wants them to do it. And you got a quarterback now that showed against Ole Miss, he can manipulate the pocket. He can move around a little bit. He can do some things with his legs to keep plays alive. And I think that's what kept State in that game, honestly, was Will Rogers' ability to move around. And I'm not saying that he's going to, he can outrun Elijah Moore in a foot race or anything like that, but it's just he's a guy that sort of knows how to avoid pressure, keep a play alive, keep his eyes downfield, tuck it when he needs to, and that's dangerous, especially when you're talking about some of these three-man rush where these ends are getting out wide, and you don't have guys in normal rush lanes, and all of a sudden you can have a lot of green in front of you in a hurry. So I think also this Mississippi State defensive line is flat out better than the Auburn offensive line. They just are. It'll take a great performance from this Auburn offensive line to not get thoroughly shredded in this game, just based on the way that they've played and based on the way the State front seven has played. So Jones and Spencer and those guys have had a lot of success this year, and not just because individually they're good, but then what their defensive coordinator allows them to do, and the different looks, the different fronts, the different stunts. I mean, they attack you in a lot of different ways, and I don't even think we're confident who the starting five is going to be for Auburn's offensive line right now. If Tank Bigsby doesn't get going, this Auburn offense is very different. I mean, Richard, Seth Williams hasn't scored a touchdown in almost 2 months. He has 3 touchdowns.
I bet I know the last one. What the last one was then.
That was the last one. You and I were both on the sideline for that game. 2 of his 3 touchdowns came in the first game of the season against Kentucky. The guy's a legit number 1 receiver. So it's just that this seems like an Auburn team where a lot of things have to be going their way in order for them to be good. Now, they've found a way to grab a couple wins. I mean, you can talk about the play at the end of the game in Oxford. You can talk about the Arkansas game at Auburn. You can talk about the Kentucky game right before the half. I mean, they've had some things go their way. And I don't believe in should-haves in football, but they have had some breaks go their way and have been beneficial for them. But they're a team that just it feels like things really need to be going well if they're going to be good on any given Saturday. Otherwise, it's got a chance to not be very good at all.
Hey, last thing, less than a minute left. Were you as overwhelmed as I was by the selflessness and the humility demonstrated by LSU and their willingness not to play in a bowl game this year?
I think there's a lot going on in Baton Rouge right now. I think
Agreed.
There's some instances that it's easy to jump on certain players, certain guys, certain individuals. I would say the latest one there is one we may should pump the brakes on a little bit. And I'm beginning to believe that, I mean, Richard, only so much can go wrong in a certain given period of time. And it feels like LSU has exceeded that times 10. So it begins to make me wonder, what else is going on internally. And I don't think it has to necessarily do with Coach O or how he runs his program, but this just feels like a bigger issue to me than just a head coach who might not be disciplining his players the right way.
Yeah. Good insight, Cole. Always appreciate your time. Enjoy the weekend in Starkville.
Thanks, Rich.